So now we're going to get a chance to work on a friend. And I have a friend here named Tina, and I'm going to show you how you put your own hands on their hands. So of course every person that I work with is not just my client, they're my student too. So Tina's got her hands on our friendly intestines. And see how her thumbs go right across the top of the intestines. That's called the transverse colon. And then the left heel of her hand is going around the edge. We talked about the sigmoid colon. And the right hand is coming up from the ileocecal and the ascending. So her hands go across the transverse. If she was doing the motion, it would look like, I said before, either a frisbee or a coin rolling around on its edge. So now I get a chance to work on her too. So let's take our friendly colon out of there and work on her belly directly. So when my hands lay on her belly, now my thumbs are down by her belt line, and the important part that I want to cover is where my little fingers are. As I go around, I'm going to use the heel of my right hand, my left hand first on her right colon, right above the right hip bone. So I use the heel of my hand, then the little finger side, then the little finger side of the other hand, and then the heel of my right hand near her left hip bone. And what you want to remember about doing peristaltic action is that it's like an ocean wave. So I like to imagine that my hands are a raft floating on water. Instead of imagining that it's a cookie cutter shape and I'm trying to press into one edge, I want to just float around. And I talked earlier about the body being not only solid but liquid and vapor. So we want to continue to have that very soft and gentle coaxing, and not to go too hard, especially if it's very sensitive. And to make sure that you stay in the soft part of the belly, so you're below the ribs and above the hip bones. And this will move the gas bubbles around, and that's very normal. So some gas may be making a sound or wanting to escape in some way, and that's very normal and should let that just happen. The other way we can work with the colon is to work with a little bit of oil. Rub it on your hands so it's nice and warm, and then go around again in a clockwise direction. And the main gateway for the mucus to escape from the lungs is right here under the left rib cage. And so tracing the left rib cage and coming all the way down towards the left hip bone, that will encourage any of the mucus in the lungs to come down into the colon. Moving your hands around very gently and slowly with a little bit of oil or even a little bit of cream, hand cream, sesame oil, almond oil, even safflower oil. And here in Hawaii you have kukui nut and jojoba, and those are all wonderful oils to use. Then if you were doing more for the lungs, you'd make sure that you'd clean underneath both rib cages. When you clean under the right rib cage, that's for the liver and the gallbladder. And you might hear the gallbladder make a little squishy sound. And that's very fine and just quite normal. And under the left rib cage, again, you might hear a gurgling sound as the liquid comes out through the stomach, as well as escaping through the lungs. Then the lymphatic drainage of the whole chest area. Remember, we were putting our fingertips right along the side of the breastbone, making a little gentle circle. Sometimes that's quite sensitive. All the way along the breastbone. And again, maybe squeezing just a little bit under the rib cage and bringing all the fluid down. So remember that all the solid waste material has to escape through the colon. And so there's no sense in trying to bring any of the solid waste from the chest or from the head down unless you've cleared this pathway. So once we've cleared that pathway, we can focus on the chest a little more, coming all the way up through where the ribs attach to the breastbone. And I could even make sure that right here below the collarbone that I could press this lung point. And if I wanted to help her sinuses clear, I'd put my fingertips right behind her ears, and Tina, if you'll open your mouth just a little, when she opens her mouth, I can feel her jawbone moving. And so open and close your mouth for a second, and I can feel that there's movement right here at my fingertip behind her ears. And so when I feel that movement, I'm going to draw the fluid, the mucus, down from the sinuses down to her collarbone. So I can do that with the sides of my thumbs or my fingertips, or if I have long fingernails, then I might even use my knuckles, as long as I'm going really nice and slowly. Then I can make sure her sinuses get cleared by pressing underneath her cheekbone. And I can press there. It might be a little tender, so I'll want to go slowly. And I can also press up at her eyebrows. And then also underneath her neck. These 2 points where the spine joins the skull, those are very good spots to get for sinus clearing. And so then her whole face is going to clear, coming down the sides of her eyes and down her cheeks towards her ears. So everything in the face clears towards the ears, down the sides of the neck, then the chest clears down the sternum, and then that all clears down again towards the abdominal area. And once you've done that, you've done the whole pathway of the lymphatic drainage system for the deep channels. If I was working on a baby, I might put my hands parallel like this. And on a baby, you don't need to use a lot of action because babies respond very quickly. So you'll want to just do it very gently and slowly and not too long.
Marci, the work that you showed today was very, very helpful. I know the people that are watching at home, I think, will get a lot of benefit, and I really appreciate that you mentioned about working with infants, because a lot of people have youngsters at home, and to be able to do this work with them will help them as well. So thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure, John. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.